So guys, we got a bunch of NIO news and Envo news to talk about in this video. First of all, I want to share this with you. This is, of course, just recently taken outside the NIO factory. You can see NIO's ET5, ET5Ts, and Envo L60s autonomously driving. Wow, very, very interesting. And just to remind you guys, NIO is one of the first companies to get full L3 testing certification here in China. So very, very soon they're getting closer and closer to full autonomous driving. Very, very interesting. And then, of course, just today they launched flexible battery upgrade for Envo. Okay, so NIO has always had this where you can upgrade the battery pack flexibly. They launched that with Envo. Here is Envo CEO and also head of NIO Power, Dr. Shenfei, explaining it and sharing some great information. Take a look at this clip.
We should report this number to our enthusiastic users. Where are we now with our progress? I just got to the office this morning. When I saw today's numbers, I took a photo and posted it on my Weibo. I remember today's data quite clearly. We have about 3,140 battery swap stations. Now 3,140 battery swap stations. We've exceeded 67 million battery swaps, 67 million swaps, 67 million. Yes, 67 million swaps. Let me explain this a bit. Some people still talk about battery swapping. Do they believe these figures? 67 million battery swaps. Our battery swap map updates every second or two. That's right, people are swapping batteries constantly. A swap happens every fraction of a second, though we've only delivered 30,000 units. Do you know how many swaps we've done? Over 300,000 swaps. That's how many NIO has done. NIO users are very accepting of and enthusiastic about battery swapping. They really love swapping batteries, indeed.
So, of course, very shocking information. There's over 67 million swaps that have already happened. And then right now, there's a swap that happens every fraction of a second. There's a swap. So clearly, swap is widely used. Over 3,100 swap stations and even progressing. NIO's infrastructure is massive. Just infrastructure itself is worth a whole lot of money. And then Envo, also surprisingly, only 30,000 Envo owners right now, but over 300,000 swaps with Envo already. So clearly, that averages out to be 10 swaps per Envo owner. So swap is also highly preferred for Envo owners as well. Very, very nice. And I want to show you guys this. This is, of course, NIO's UAE website, what it looks like. Absolutely fantastic. They actually have a different slogan, all right? And the aesthetics is actually very different from NIO here in China. So they got a very different appeal towards NIO in the UAE. And of course, NIO is very high-end, so there's definitely a lot of interest towards NIO, and NIO is definitely going to be very successful over there with their big cars and great service and convenience of battery swap. And of course, their first swap station opened up there just a few days ago, so definitely off to a head start. And actually, NIO is going to push forward and expand into Portugal as well. Yeah, Portugal, of all places. Apparently, the head of NIO in Europe said that they're going to expand into Portugal. They've signed some agreements with Portugal. And this isn't exactly new news, but yeah, Portugal. They're expanding their footprint in Europe. I think, how should I put this? I think for NIO to do expansion, it's very capital intensive. Like, you got to build new houses, you got to build swap stations, and all of these are very capital intensive. And then you have to make sure your service keeps up. So, of course, NIO CEO has said that expansion should be actually led by Firefly and Envo first, because those are less capital intensive compared to NIO. So it definitely will make sense that they will get the ball rolling with Firefly cars and then NIO cars as well. And actually, speaking of Firefly and the ET9, they're coming very, very soon. And I know last video we talked about how Envo CEO claimed the deliveries 15,000 for February, but only delivered 4,000, right? And then the employees kind of talked about is because of Model Y impact and that kind of stuff. And you know, it seems like they might not be able to get 20,000 in March. However, they are trying very hard. For example, just today there's a pet expo. Yeah, a pet expo, and then Envo is actually there to showcase their vehicles. And they're trying to get their vehicles shown everywhere, wherever that's possible, different expos, different outside occasions, all that kind of stuff. And of course, you know, they're trying the best to make sure their cars are the best. And of course, one thing I want to talk about with NIOs, there's actually the function to add DeepSeek into your NIO, the very popular AI. And that's very interesting. Not with my NIO, but with the second gen NIOs, you can actually add DeepSeek. I've seen videos of it being used on current NIOs. So that's also very, very interesting. So of course, everybody's trying very hard, and they're trying to sell a lot of cars. With the flexible upgrade that they've launched right now, it's going to be, you know, much more convincing, and another very good sales method to convince people to buy an Envo. You know, you don't have to buy the bigger capacity battery. You just buy the lower capacity battery and rent the bigger capacity battery when you need it. So that's of course going to be very, very beneficial and help boost sales. And yeah, they got a lot of stores. And I would say their sales network is fairly mature now. Like, they got stores pretty much everywhere. So they're just trying to get as much customers as they can. Of course, the Model Y, yeah, we'll have to see. Well, someone has to do a sort of a head-to-head comparison between these two cars. Maybe I'll do that and see how these two cars stack up. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do that head-to-head comparison with these two cars. And clearly, the hesitation toward pulling the trigger on the Envo stems from the Model Y, you know. So definitely a very fierce competition, and you know, Envo is not a weak car. It's a very strong competitive car at its price point. So definitely it's gonna sell well. But of course, the bigger brother, the Model Y, has a new, fresh look, has new features and stuff like that, and it does disrupt things a little bit. Okay, so overall, very good news, and hopefully, as shareholders, we can see profitability sooner than later. Q4 is what they're aiming for. Let's see how they do in the coming months in terms of deliveries. Okay, as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.